Before we get started, guys, a small disclaimer. I'm not a Leeds fan. I have done some research into this episode. A lot of it has come from Wikipedia, so if anything is wrong, please do let me know, but don't hang me. I've done my best. Let's just enjoy together a brief history of Leeds United Football Club. Leeds United was formed in 1919 following the forced disbanding of Leeds City by the Football League. They were then elected into the Football League in 1920 and were promoted into the First Division in 1924. However, they were unable to establish themselves and spent the majority of the next 35 years yo-yoing between the First and Second Divisions. This all changed in 1961 when Leeds appointed Don Revie. He made many changes within the club, such as changing to an all-white kit to emulate Real Madrid and implementing a youth policy, bringing through the likes of Billy Bremner and Norman Hunter. He guided Leeds to the promotion in 1964, and this time they flourished in the First Division, finishing runners-up in their first two seasons before finally winning the league in 1969. They won the league again in 1974, that being Revie's last season with the club before taking the England job. His era is arguably more famous for the number of occasions in which they were runners-up. In the 10 years Leeds were in the First Division under Revie, they finished second in the league 5 times, lost in the final of the FA Cup 3 times and the League Cup once. They did, though, manage to win both of those cups once each, and Don Revie remains the biggest legend at the club, even having a stand named after him at Elland Road. After Revie left, Brian Clough took charge for an ill-fated 44 days in which Leeds started the season poorly. He left the club and Jimmy Armfield took over, and despite reaching the European Cup final that season, Leeds were nowhere near as successful as they were under Revie. The squad he built was now aged and replacements were unable to provide the same level of success. The decline eventually culminated in relegation in 1982. And they spent most of the 80s attempting to get back to the big time. They eventually did achieve this in 1990 when, like Revie, Howard Wilkinson took over Leeds in the second tier and took them to the First Division title in 1992, this being the final season before the rebranding to the Premier League. Wilkinson was sacked after a few disappointing years in 1997 and replaced by George Graham and soon after that David O'Leary. The financial situation at Leeds rapidly deteriorated after they spent big money on players attempting to reach the Champions League. They were then forced to sell off most of those players and more besides, and under the threat of insolvency, they were relegated in 2004. The situation did not improve, however, and on the 4th of May 2007, they entered administration, which confirmed relegation to the third tier of English football for the first time in their history. In League One, they were hit by a further 15-point deduction, but still managed to reach 2008 playoff final, losing to Doncaster. They eventually did win back promotion to the Championship in 2010, where they have been ever since. Their time back in the Championship has been noteworthy, more to do with issues off the pitch, as on it. The controversial owner Massimo Cellino took charge, and has changed managers 6 times in 3 years. This period of instability was brought to an end, however, when Andrea Radrizzani purchased the club, also buying back Elland Road from the council after it was sold during their financial implosion. A new manager now takes the reins with the promise of ushering in a new era. Have they finally found a man that can follow in the footsteps of Revie and Wilkinson and take Leeds to the second tier, all the way to a First Division title? We are about to find out.